Okay, it's time to spend our monthly hour with filmmaker, documentary wizard, author, researcher, and really a man for all seasons, Jay Weidner. Hello, Jay. Welcome back.
Hey, Jeff. It's good to be back.
You sound nice and clear. Glad to hear you.
Good.
We had a hailstorm in Texas today, which left hail up to 4 feet deep in piles.
Whoa.
4 feet. And not just in one little drift, apparently over a fairly significant area, blocks.
Yeah. I was in a storm once, got 4 feet of hail.
The weather's unusual. Yeah.
Very unusual. It's hottest March in history.
Correct.
And now it's actually getting cold, all the places that it was hot. Very strange.
Well, speaking of hot, we could talk about radioactive hot. I just, every day I continue to watch.
Worse and worse.
That's right. That's exactly right.
You were the only one, by the way, that was telling us that information. And now you are being 100% vindicated by the mainstream press.
Now they're finally forced to look at reality.
Yeah.
If
But will they look at the reality as it continues?
No, it's a flash in the pan. It'll be gone in a few days. They'll be on to something else. All they're doing is putting a few marks in the book so they can say, "Yep, look, we covered it.
We told you."
Yeah, we told you. No, this is not a story that you can tell people and then move on. This is a story that literally could end civilization as we have been used to it in the very near future. That is not a joke. There are 930,000 pounds of radioactive fuel in that spent fuel pool at reactor number 4. That is equivalent to 93,000 10-pound nuclear bombs. That's 40 or 50 world wars. Now think about that. All right? That's hard to wrap your mind around. That's how much radiation is sitting in that spent fuel pool, the cooling system of which had to be shut down by TEPCO today because there was a leak in it. Not a leak in the building, but in the cooling system, fortunately, which can be at least temporarily repaired. If the actual structure, 100 feet off the ground, cracks open, which would negate the ability of them to put any water in it, it'll start to go hot. It'll catch fire and explode within, they figure, 48 hours. If it falls over and hits the ground, same thing. And that's the end of Tokyo, that's the end of Honshu, and that's the end of much of the northern climates. You don't stop this stuff. And the amazing part, I don't know if you know this or not, but TEPCO, they shut everything down on the weekends at that plant. And everybody goes home. Nothing's being done. They go home for the weekends, Jay.
But there's really nothing that they can do.
Well, and at least they could pretend, but they don't even want to do that. They're too damn cheap. In Japan, in Tokyo, they're beginning to do more monitoring. And the story we have that'll go up later tonight, the radiation dose has quadrupled at one Tokyo monitoring station and tripled at another, and you know darn well that some of this has to be tied to the Japanese suicidal policy of burning hundreds of millions of tons of radioactive waste in their garbage incinerators with their chimneys. They're literally burning this stuff all over Tokyo. It's a huge city, huge, and all over every municipality and town in Japan on Honshu. They're all burning it, so nobody will have an advantage. They'll all be equally as polluted and contaminated and radioactive. And this stuff goes up the chimneys and comes right back down. Or it goes up and it becomes part of the moisture system, comes back down as rain somewhere else. It's beyond belief what they're doing. They're actually burning dirt, topsoil. And the radiation in there goes right up the chimney.
Truly amazing. That's so dang dumb, I can't even believe it.
No, it's beyond dumb, and they say, "Oh, we have filters and all that." No, they've actually tested, and people have admitted that the stacks do not come close to getting all of it out of there. That's what they're doing with it. They're burning it. Every city takes its fair share, and they run it through there, and are running it through there. They're garbage, trash incinerators with these huge, tall stacks.
Well,
This is amazing.
there are reports of people who climb mountains in the West, United States, mountain climbers, snowboarders, those kinds of people. They are suddenly coming down with leukemia and all sorts of diseases. And it's all related. Sure, it's happening everywhere. And I would bet you that there will be no butterflies left in North America this coming summer, because the lighter animals will be the first ones to die. It'll be birds, butterflies, those kinds of animals will begin disappearing. And I hate to say this, but I think we're going to follow them, actually, because I don't see this thing ending, and I don't see how they can stop it.
Can't.
And
it won't, and they can't.
And nobody's helping. Nobody's doing anything.
You don't see a conference in Japan or anywhere else of the world's greatest nuclear minds, architects, designers.
I thought this is what the United Nations was about.
Doing nothing. Nothing. The world's best elite brains should be working on this around the clock. Nothing.
That doesn't make sense.
You know, it doesn't make sense? So what does that tell you?
The elites are completely insane. Or they think that they're impervious. I'm going to tell you what. If you didn't know better, if you were an outside observer just looking at all this crap that's going on, I'll reach an uneasy conclusion that we are being invaded by an alien race who somehow can get into our bodies and make us stupid. That's all I can say. And they're killing us off to take over the planet. I don't believe that. I really don't. But I tell you, looking at the evidence, you'd almost have to say it's true. Somehow.
Looking at the evidence, yeah, you'd almost have to say it's true. I agree.
Yeah. It's like, so you can almost start identifying the people who have been taken over by the aliens. These fictitious aliens I'm proposing are doing this, right? And it's mind-boggling. And nobody is talking about it. Where are all the liberals who are anti-nuke? Remember the no nukes rallies that used to be in the 70s and 80s? Mm-hmm. Bruce Springsteen and Jackson Brown would play for them, right?
Yep.
Where are they? What happened to Jackson Brown and Bruce Springsteen? How come they're saying anything? Weird.
No, Jay, nobody is saying anything except us, a few of us, and now occasionally the MSM, and that's it. No, I don't see any celebrities out beating the drum, trying to wake people up. They're literally facing annihilation. The Pacific Ocean, ladies and gentlemen, will be radioactive with isotopes and contaminated for hundreds of years, if not longer. Now, that's just assuming that the predominant form of contamination is cesium. Okay? If it's plutonium, we're talking 25,000 years. More. So you can't eat any fish or seafood from the Gulf of Mexico. We know that already from the Gulf disaster. So that's out. Now, I've been telling people for the better part of a year, don't eat anything from the Pacific Ocean. Tuna can literally transit the ocean in 6 days. They are at the top of the food chain. The radiation and radioactivity starts out at the plankton level, moves into the small fishes, the medium fishes, the bigger fishes, and finally eaten by the biggest fishes. And you can even count dolphins in there, killer whales, it doesn't matter. And it accumulates. It bioaccumulates. That's why the ring seals were dying. And that's why now, I don't know if you saw the story, but the polar bears, some of them, are showing signs, yes, of losing their fur in places, skin rashes.
That's definitely radiation.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
And it's in the fish. It's in the biggest fishery, the Gulf of Alaska fishery, is hopelessly contaminated. I can guarantee it. If you study the ocean currents and the way they flow across the North Pacific Current and how it splits, and half of it goes up into the Gulf of Alaska and just sits there and goes round and around like a toilet where no water can't go anywhere. And the rest of it goes down the Pacific coast and then back across, you get the picture. And now you've got this plume, and I've got video of the plume, the radioactive plume, the radionuclide plume is coming across the ocean. It'll pass Hawaii fairly soon, and within a year it'll hit the West Coast. So the world we grew up in, Jay, and most of you folks listening, is gone. It's just gone. It's changed irrevocably, irretrievably, forever. All right, we'll be right back. Hold on. Okay, welcome back. Talking with our friend and colleague of many, many years, Jay Weidner, who comes by once a month to spend some time talking with us. Now, one more word or two about what's going on in Japan. This wonderful man, Arnie Gunderson, did a radio program and made the point that spent fuel pool number 4 is a horrible, horrible dilemma. He said, but 3 is probably worse. Nobody's even talking about 3. I began mentioning it last night when I had him on via a recording for a few minutes to hear what he had to say about that. He said 3 is worse than 4. 4 is ostensibly intact. You can see the handles on the long fuel rod assemblies that are dropped into place and kept underwater. With building 3, which was the MOX reactor, the spent fuel pool is not even recognizable. It looks like a pile of trash. The building has been so hopelessly destroyed. It's also thought that if 4 falls over, 3 will fall over, i.e. an earthquake of 7.0 will knock them both down and may drop what's left of building 2. We just don't know. But we do know there's nothing being done about 3 at all, because no one can get near it because of the gamma radiation. They can't get near enough to look at it, except by flying over.
I wouldn't fly over it.
Yeah, gamma rays go right up.
Yeah.
And you know, you remember the the USS Ronald Reagan?
Yep.
It was off the coast of Fukushima when the disaster hit, and it twice ran through an extremely heavy plume of radioactivity, which obviously polluted the entire ship. And they had that ship change course once, and then they had it sent to another location twice, and nobody would talk about it. I'll bet they just jettisoned some of the helicopters right off the deck into the ocean. They flew through it, and you can't decontaminate some of that.
Yeah,
and
how are you going to decontaminate the ship?
That you can't, because they have these enormous induction fans which pull air and flow it throughout the ship, each little room, each little cubicle, each compartment, each department, and it filled the ship.
Well,
that's
indeed,
what happened.
We're going out with a whimper, it looks like, not a bang, and it's invisible, so we're not concerned with it. And it's the most deadly thing that's ever happened.
Without question.
Yeah. But there was no bang,
No.
so we're not paying attention.
Well, there were those explosions, but they weren't a big bang.
I mean, bang
yeah, of
like
course.
a war,
You
or
got
an atomic bomb going off.
Earthquakes today, 5.5, 5.5, 5.9. Just a matter of time. They say a 7 will knock down spent fuel pool 4. And that's the end. Arnie Gunderson said last night, he said, if I were living in Tokyo, every morning when I got up, I'd look at the television to see if spent fuel pool 4 had fallen over. If it had, I'd start driving, and I'd keep on going.
Yeah. Well, it's very strange the way the Japanese are reacting.
They're reconciled
to mass migration.
There's not. It's like they're reconciled to some kind of mass self-genocide. It's really weird.
It is weird. Creepy. And it's a real indication of how asleep everybody really is. And I don't know. I don't know what to say. I know your audience is all woken up. And so it's like, this country and this world are seriously bifurcating right now in several ways, and it's really starting to terrify me. Fukushima is really bad, but right now, the U.S. media is trying to create a race war. I have been watching television for the first time in the last 5 days, and I have in years. And what they are doing and how they are stoking this thing, and it has to be Obama, by the way, who's doing it. It's coming. All I can tell you is sometime this summer, the race war will be here because they're taking it to a place where it can't go back. It's getting too serious. And thank God you and your website aren't playing into the game. I just encourage everyone out there, to do not fall into the trap of the race war that they're trying to get started here. Do not fall into it. It is an Obama-created trap to activate the black vote. And they did it, Clinton did it. Remember the churches that were being burnt down during the Clinton 96?
Yep.
And then they stopped in 97 and never came back?
Yeah.
Remember? Clinton's re-election year?
Yep.
65 black churches were burned down?
Yep.
I mean, I contend to you that it isn't the people that was being reported as burning down those churches. It was actually, I think, someone in the Clinton administration. I really do. And I think the same thing is going on here. This is a tactic, an election year tactic that done by people, and it proves they really don't care about this country at all. In fact, they must hate it to want to get a race war started.
It's all planned. It's all planned. And they're going to make it happen one way or the other.
The NBC, or ABC, Disney-owned company, ABC, the wonderful company that gives us that show, Good Christian You-Know-What, they edited out the 911 question, what does a Trayvon look like? So it made Zimmerman sound like he was a racist because he just called the guy black for no reason. In other words, they did it on purpose. So they're playing people. There's no doubt.
Unreal. All right, hold on a second. We'll come right back. I don't like what I'm seeing at all. Not at all. We shall continue with Jay Weidner in just a minute. Okay, and we're back with Jay Weidner. Everywhere you look, Jay, it's the same kind of thing. This alleged political process, it doesn't matter who you vote for. Look, Romney is practically living inside of Netanyahu's underwear half the time. I'm serious. And
that is a place I would rather never be.
yeah, well, even to think about such is pretty
Ugh.
disgusting. Figuratively speaking, of course. And but Obama is doing much the same. There's this little fainting here and there of Obama he's kind of not going along with the Israeli Zionist
That's all a
war.
fake out.
It's BS. It's all crap. It's showbiz, folks. It's all all you wonderful people know what's going on. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter a damn bit. It's all a diversion. The idea of electing and voting somebody. That's a joke.
You remember the political cartoon that was around when Bush was president and Ariel Sharon had a puppet of Bush
Oh yes, of course.
on his hand, and the puppet was beating him, and Sharon was saying, "Stop it! Stop beating me!"
Yep.
That's pretty much what it is.
Same thing.
Is Ariel Sharon still alive?
Oh yeah, he's a vegetable. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Looks like a big, huge kosher cauliflower now.
Yeah, there was a man who was pure evil.
Oh yes,
but Netanyahu
absolutely.
actually outdoes him. Actually, I think.
They're psychopaths.
Yep.
We talked about that before.
Yeah, and actually, until Netanyahu kills a whole bunch of Iranians, I'm going to have to say that Sharon is worse, because he did Sovereign and Shatila, the massacre of the Palestinians. So I think actually Sharon is still the biggest psychopath I've ever walked.
Well, they're mass murderers.
Yeah. It's a very strange thing, what's going on. And, it may be that this might be the last cry of these guys. I don't know, but
nah, they're not going anywhere. You mean they're going to do themselves in?
I think so. I mean, I think I think the human race has a suicide impulse here. And,
well, it's certainly its leadership does, or what you'd call leadership. It's really not leadership at all. It's their guardian, their custodians.
Everybody's broken down into factions now.
That's the game. Divide and conquer.
A great philosopher said, at the end of time, it will be all against all. And, gee, I don't know.
All against all. That makes sense. Yeah, they can do that if they want to. They can do that. They can do whatever they want. They literally can do whatever they want to do.
But why would they want to live in a land filled with increasing amounts of deadly radiation? This is the question that I keep asking myself.
They didn't do that intentionally. It happened, and they don't care about it.
But they are not fixing it intentionally.
Apparently, there's nothing they can do to fix it. That's my only.
We've got ourselves in that one. We finally made that one mistake that we can't fix.
That's right. Now, there are 104 reactors here in these formerly United States and 450 or so around the world, all of which could do the same kind of thing. But especially these Mark I BWR reactors, they are the worst. We have about 25 of them in the U.S. A number of them are on the New Madrid Fault. To put the spent fuel pool up 100 feet in the air,
that is stupid.
Beyond belief.
Unbelievable. I mean, truly.
Begging for it. Begging for it.
That's why these people who say there's earthquakes and all this, I mean, that the United States faked the earthquake or did a nuclear explosion.
Oh, please.
It's like, it wouldn't even matter. This was a time bomb waiting to happen no matter what happened. It's like, you cannot put all these spent fuel rods in one place.
You run out of, you can't dodge bullets forever. Sooner or later, you get in the wrong place at the wrong time, and that's what happened.
It's really disturbing.
We think, you see, these sociopaths who are running the planet, maybe partly ET, we don't know. We often think of psychopaths and sociopaths as always being violent criminals. But that's not true. They figure 5% of ordinary people have an often undetected serious mental disorder, which is best defined as, they say, the complete lack of conscience. They don't have a conscience. That's sociopathy, psychopathy. And they can do literally anything at all and feel absolutely no guilt, no shame, no remorse, whatever. None. And they do it all the time.
That puts them at a serious advantage over all of us.
Absolutely. I don't think like a psychopath or sociopath. I can't anticipate how they're going to react. I think that there are, within all people, generally speaking, the normal restraints of morality, of accountability, of responsibility, of basic decency. Not true.
No.
And I've been trying to unlearn that for most of my life. That people are not that way. They're not like me. And that gives them an advantage over me. And now I've figured it out. I've got it now to where for years and years I do not expect anything logical, rational, or responsible from people. No responsible behavior. And I don't see it. And I'm right.
You are. And if you see something logical come out, it's almost a surprise.
It's an accident. Or it's a contrived demonstration of mock morality to gain favor with the sheep. I don't know.
Well, you have an article up by Zen Gardner who's turning into be one of my favorite writers.
He's getting better and better and better.
Better and better. And the one you have up today about are we being reshaped for the Matrix or what? Not reshaped. I can't remember what it was, but
right.
That was an excellent article. And he's kind of postulating the same thing that I was earlier. It's almost like there's an alien race who's doing us in a way. And, I don't know what to say except that if we can keep this thing going and we don't all die in the radiation, I think the liars are going to out themselves eventually. But I don't think the human race is smart enough to know.
The point is, who's around to hold them accountable and make them accountable for what they do, and when they do admit it. I don't know. And I think also we've talked about this, but it's kind of like the majority of people may not be classic textbook psycho or sociopaths, but their imitative behaviors might as well qualify them.
Yeah.
They go along to get along. They lie. They cheat. They don't expect anything by way of a normative kind of a rational accountability for anything. It's always somebody else's fault. And that, of course, always leads to the victim society. And they're all victims.
All the liberals.
Not my fault. Not my fault.
That's how they win an election.
She did it. They did it. Not me. All right. We'll be back. Okay, and back with Jay, and talking about this and that. The race now, the faux race, the fake race, I just boggles the mind, doesn't it? Now everybody's looking to the end of August, and the convention, and the formal anointing of Romney, and who will his vice president be, and who will his cabinet announcements be, and who gives a rat's tail about any of it if you know what's going on? I mean, it's absurd.
What I'm hoping is that, and I don't think it's going to happen because they ripped him off and stole all of his votes and made sure
no.
But we were hoping a couple months ago that Ron Paul was going to give a nationally qualified speech at the Republican convention may be in a very strong second place, and we don't know it yet because his supporters are more fervent, and that could still happen, but I don't think it is because the Republican establishment is now dead set against the Ron Paul revolution and doing everything they can to destroy it. But the Ron Paul revolution is actually the most active thing going on politically right now. It is gaining traction. A lot of people are joining. A lot of liberals have dropped being liberals and are joining. I've seen a lot of very clear evidence. And I think this is a plan by Ron to take over the Republican Party. I think it's a last dash of a patriot. And it's a good plan. And but the Republican establishment can't get away from these guys like McCain and Romney. He's just, I don't even know why there's nothing about them that makes them different from the Democrats. Really, not really. And so I guess, we're going to have Obama for president for 4 more years, and that will be the end of this country.
Well, I completely agree with you. I've been saying that.
Let's face it, Obama is worse than Romney. There's no way around it.
No doubt. None. Zero.
Yeah, I don't like Romney. I know he's a total pig.
Yeah.
But,
no, I know Obama's the darkest force I've seen, identifiably so.
He scares me.
Yeah.
The guy scares me. I mean it. He scares me. I know he's the one fomenting this race war, and I know it. And
he and his handlers, Bill Ayers and all the rest of them, and
this is their plan.
Yeah.
This is the end result of their plan. You had an article up a few weeks ago. Was it you about the postman? You ever see an article about the postman for Bill Ayers' dad? Bill Ayers' father was, I guess, also a communist. I didn't know this until I read this article. And his postman that delivered mail to his house knew Bill Ayers' father and mother and said that they were dyed-in-the-wool communists and that he met Barack Obama. He was a young man, and he told him,
I remember,
postman, that he was going to be president one day. And that he was a foreign exchange student.
Correct. Yeah, Ayers. No, I read it. It was all planned long ago. Long ago.
System.
Yeah.
And I guess there's nothing we can do about it. The sheriff goes after him, and he gets crushed, and everybody that tries
Arpaio
to do it, Chicago-style thuggery. What this is.
Oh, for sure.
We finally have a real, true. We've had mobs in there before, Irish mobs and all sorts of mobs. But the mob we got in the White House right now is the worst mob that has ever existed. And it is if he gets reelected, we are all of us, every one of us, real serious trouble. So in that way, I just can't tell you that although Romney is a complete creep, he's not Obama. And so I hate to tell people this, but I think you're going to vote for Romney just because we cannot risk this. It will be internment camps.
Yeah.
It will be.
It
Obama
doesn't.
will put us in internment camps.
The whole thing is fixed anyhow. So the sentiment of voting for Romney because Obama is more evil is a valid one. But ultimately, they'll control the outcome any way they want it. So if they can get people leaning that way, then they'll make their change easier. Mentally.
It's not really a question of the thing is that Obama is the result of a long series of machinations that are designed to destroy the United States as an entity.
Oh, my God, look what he's done in 4 years.
Yeah.
I mean, the Clintons in 8 years did a lot, but this guy has more than doubled their totality.
I don't believe that Romney or actually anybody running anywhere else has those intentions. They don't. Not even the other Democrats. I don't believe Joe Biden has those intentions, but I believe Obama does.
No, there's a special malignancy in this guy and his handlers. And you're right. It's amazing. Bernardine Dohrn, Ayers, they a little clique of communists actually pulled this off. with a lot of help.
Quite amazing, actually. And apparently they got, because they're both teachers, college professors, they were able to get the entire, or at least a large part of the educational establishment to back
behind him.
Yeah, and that's how they fished him through the system. And because, you know, the one thing I always try to do with people who are running for president, I try to read everything that they write. And I read both of Obama's books, which were atrocious.
Well, they were also not written by him.
Well, they weren't. And you can tell. The first book, which was written by Bill Ayers, it's like, you know, it's like F. Scott Fitzgerald wrote it, right? And then the second book...
Ayers bragged about it, too.
Yeah, the second book is like a cartoon, right? It's like, what? You know, books don't even appear to be written by the same person. But you cannot find anything from his college days, so it's really frustrating. And, you know, we don't know anything about this guy, except that he does not like our country. He doesn't like us. And furthermore, the Bernardine Dorn and William Ayers, I think I've told you this before, they had a meeting in the 70s in which they, a meeting of communists in which they reached a decree, according to the FBI agent who infiltrated this meeting, that 70% of white people in the United States would never abandon capitalism and could not be re-educated. What does that mean? What are you going to do with them?
I don't know.
And now their protege, these same people's protege, is the president, and he's stoking a race war. It's like his supporters are stoking a race war.
They're going to actually pull it off. When do you think it'll happen?
I'm thinking, for what I'm seeing, late July, I would look for the late hot summer, and it will be done on purpose. In other words, they're going to either take an incident where some poor white guy kills a black guy for some reason and blow it out of proportion like they do with Zimmerman, or it's going to be much more serious than that, but it will be completely orchestrated, the second one. The first one will be just using an event, but I think that the one I'm really worried about is that they're going to orchestrate. They're going to do false flag, racial events to galvanize the black vote and get it out. It's so disgusting and so just evil that I can't believe I'm watching my country fall apart in front of me. It breaks my heart.
It is heartbreaking because, and again, I said this earlier, we all, most of us listening, there's some younger folks listening, but we grew up and we remember, if we can't exactly remember, we certainly had parents who remembered when this country was the best of the best of the best ever in current world history.
Yeah.
We had it all.
We did, and you know...
We had good people, we had caring people, we had kind people. Yes, politics was always dirty and grubby, but it is so malignantly psychopathic now, it's off the scale.
Yes. This is the end that was predicted, I guess. But, you know, let's go back to one more time to what Obama's doing here. If you think about it, the last 25, 30 years in this country, the races have actually gotten along pretty well. They really have. And so now suddenly we start forgetting that there's even differences between people and things, and that does not serve the needs of these people. They can't have that. They can't have tolerance, even though that's what they preach. Because if they have tolerance, if tolerance actually happens, then they're going to lose all the fulcrum of their pedigree, of their party, of what it is that they believe in, which is keep everyone a victim. Make everybody you can a victim. And
correct.
They will need your help.
That's right. That takes everybody... Right.
Yep.
Takes everybody into the negative side of the ledger, to the victim mentality, the victim culture.
Yep.
It is the worst mental framework.
Once you become a victim, you're theirs.
Correct. Yes. That's it.
Yep.
You just summed it up.
You're there.
Thank you, Jay. Wow.
Yeah, Jeff.
Talk to you soon, my friend.
Take it easy, man.
All right. Jay Weidner. sacredmysteries.com is his homepage website, and very wise and observant, like our audience is here. Great people. All right, thanks for being here. We'll be back tomorrow night.